busy.co.
Welcome to the Small Business Collaboration Summit, Yatin Thakur. So wonderful to have you here.
Thank you, Mariam.
I would really describe you as the new guard of Indian entrepreneurship. Not only are you a serial entrepreneur, creating your first venture at the young age of 16, not that you're much older now, but you are deeply embedded in the startup ecosystem development through your organization, Startup India. And you travel the world promoting Indian entrepreneurship as Managing Director of Global Entrepreneurship Network for India. And you also own and run CoworkIn, which is a network of co-working hubs in northern India. So you are a very busy man, and obviously that type of growth and that type of career doesn't happen in a vacuum. I was wondering if we could start by sharing what role collaboration has played in your business journey to date.
Thanks for the introduction, Mariam, and thank you for having me over here. I think this is my 15th year as an entrepreneur, based out of Delhi, India, which is one of the toughest markets to work in around the world. One key challenge which I faced, which was different in the Indian ecosystem as compared to the other ecosystems, was access to markets and sustainability of business ideas. We have a lot of talent. We have a lot of good work happening around the country. We are one of the leading developers of technology and technology software in the world. We produce some of the best engineers in the world. However, when it comes to selling business services or selling new ideas in a country like India, it's very, very challenging and it's very difficult. And that's where we figured out that most of the people who have been working on different sorts of innovations, who are trying to explore buyers for their goods and services, the biggest challenge they faced was to find out who are the other people who are going through the same journey, who are the other people who would believe in their ideas, and when they innovate, are those innovations legal in the country? Because a lot of times the regulations force you to shut it down because the regulators don't know whether these ideas are not typical business ideas or business services which regulators would have come across. So as part of that, the work which we do out here is to ensure that all the stakeholders come together. They have a dialogue, and during this dialogue, a lot of collaborations happen. So the first biggest collaboration is that people get access to customers, right? Which allows them to trade, which allows them to sustain their business. The second collaboration is that they have potential people who would be willing to take risk with them and would be willing to give access to risk capital by investing in their innovations which are not validated anywhere. And the third key thing which we have been able to accomplish over here is to actually bring policymakers on the table, have dialogues with them so that we make them understand about these innovations and make them open to new startup ideas so that they can accept those business ideas and incorporate or amend rules and regulations in their existing policies to ensure that there's a smooth business operation for entrepreneurs who are starting up in a country like India.
Now, India is a huge market. It's a market that a lot of people have eyes for. But in our experience, the fears around trusting other businesses have stood in the way to greater success for Indian business owners, not only in them trying to reach new cities and new markets within India, but to, as you mentioned, expand globally. And I'd very much like your thoughts on that observation. Is this an area that you feel, the area of trust and how trust operates really against the very nature of collaboration. Is that something that's cultural in India? And do you see it more as a generational issue or a cultural issue?
So, as I said, when you have a very large population and the whole population is so talented because there's a key focus given on education, it becomes very competitive, and it comes with its own set of challenges. So, when you are working on ideas, there is always someone else who's trying to replicate your business idea. In fact, if you would pick up any successful Indian startup story, 85 to 90% of them have replicated any Western ideas into India. They have just Indianized it, or the advantage they had was that they were based over here, and they just copy pasted the whole model and have managed to scale it up over here. That is one of the key challenges in India. So, and I think it's very much similar to what happens in China. You go with a product, and the next day you would get to know that there are 10 more people building the same product. So as part of that, what happens, a lot of people tend to not trust others, and a lot of people tend to hold up on their business ideas. They don't tend to share their real picture or their real story because they feel that my idea might be copied. But at the same time, idea is just one part of the business. The second key part is the execution and who gets the customer. Till the time you don't have a customer, you can sleep with that idea, but nothing is going to happen. And that's exactly what we do. When we build these dialogues, we allow people to come and have discussions, create neutral forums, so that people are able to first share their challenges. Somewhere, once they start sharing their challenges, a lot of them realize that, okay, they all are going through similar issues. And if for any reason there are people working on similar business ideas, they can collaborate or they can merge with each other, because if they form a stronger team, it's much better for them to focus their energies collectively on a common goal than figuring out a passage individually.
Is there a particular collaboration that you're most proud of?
Quite a few. So I started ecosystem development work about 7 years back, and I actually took over a co-working space in New Delhi and became a part of the startup weekend community. So at that point of time, co-working wasn't a known concept in India. Like, it was very, very new. Like, nothing like this existed, and I decided to jump into it. Even I didn't know what's going to happen. The idea was simple: bring in a bunch of people, make sure they are complementing each other, and let's see and just see what brews out of that. And that's exactly what we did. I'm proud to say that in last 7 years, there have been unicorns which got out of my co-working space. So there were people who were just like individual co-founders or a bunch of people trying to work on business ideas, struggled a lot, pivoted a lot. We became a part of the early journey because the network which we provided, the infrastructure which we provided, played a key role for them at that point of time. And now when you see them, they are the known unicorns in the country.
Now, one thing that I've noticed as a trend as we've been interviewing the entrepreneurs is that once you catch the collaboration bug, and it's very much part of what one of our speakers described as your DNA, it means that you can start collaborating across industries. And one thing that you shared with me prior to this interview is that you are also working with farmers in India to bring technology to assist them to start selling their products. I was wondering if you could share how that came about.
Yeah, so, while all of us, again, focus a lot on building businesses, earning money, we tend to forget that the key source of our livelihood is food, right? And that is the most critical component, which is going through a lot of challenges in the last few years. You just don't know what you're consuming. There's an expected shortage of food, and you want to know that where's your food getting sourced from. So about 9 years back, actually about 10 years back, I started getting very intrigued in working closely with farmers, because I could see that India has a huge farmer base. I think till date, 55 to 60% of the population is engaged in the agriculture sector. The challenges which I saw in the system were two old techniques of farming, and a lack of market access. Again, just like you have a lack of market access for entrepreneurs, you have a lack of market access for farmers, and these guys are engaged in the most noble and humble cause of feeding us, but at the same time they just don't know who's their customer, and they end up getting trapped through a large intermediary sector. So that's the time when I started getting involved with farmer groups across the country, and I started building technologies and started providing them knowledge and information to improve their current agricultural practices and create a better market linkage for them directly with the cities, so that the whole intermediary chain could be shortened. They get to have the direct benefit of the profits which get earned through the process. And I think in the last 10 years, farmers have gotten more educated. There's the second or third generation of farmers who are jumping in now to handle agriculture, which was becoming like a neglected sector. And you could automatically see that with the increasing crop prices, the biggest beneficiary of those prices is the farmer themselves and not anyone else.
What a fantastic initiative. Congratulations. And I'm happy to include any links that you want to share about that initiative in your bio. Now, when collaborations go well, they're fantastic. When they don't go well, it's upsetting when you put so much energy into it. Have any collaborations you've worked on ever failed?
Collaborations require people. Unfortunately, it's not an automated process. There's no AI or machine learning involved in collaboration. It's based on trust. It's based on building relationships. And when you have humans connecting with each other, at times there are issues, there are misunderstandings, there's lack of trust, the timings don't match, the emotions don't match. So there have been times when a lot of such partnerships or collaborations or mergers don't work out for various reasons, but most of them end up being human errors, I would say. And that's something which is beyond anyone's control, I feel. So you just take it as an experience and you move on with those experiences. The only thing which strengthens you is your integrity and your common vision of doing good to humanity. If you keep up with that focus, I'm pretty sure over a period of time, these human errors would reduce further, and it would lead to stronger collaborations.
That's a very beautiful way to end our interview today. Yatin, thank you so much for being part of the Small Business Collaboration Summit. The insights you shared on India, on the work that you're doing, were fascinating, and I'm sure they'll be of great value to the audience listening today. Wishing you well, all the best. As you mentioned, you're involved with a number of noble causes, so really only wishing you the best of success as you look not only to develop your own business, but to lift Indian entrepreneurship up and help your country and also help the farmers in your country. So it's wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you again, Mariam. Thank you for having me over here.